What now for Colorado and Deion Sanders after losing 42-6 in Autzen yesterday against Oregon? I think there's a lot to unpack with this one, and I want us to kind of get clear on this right now. There's going to be a lot of overreaction from a lot of different shows and a lot of different outlets telling you, well, this is Deion Sanders, we knew this was coming, and they were overrated to begin with. And like a lot of overreaction culture is about to hit hard right now because it helps a lot of people's shows. I want us to kind of get together right now, assess this for what it is, and go forward from there. All right, before we do that, though, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel to stay up with everything that we're doing here. We appreciate you in advance for that. Okay, so yesterday, I don't know that we learned a ton of new things about Colorado. I think we had a lot of suspicions kind of confirmed about what issues they had, especially on the offensive line and what they had in the defensive trenches. But to be real, Oregon is just further along from a talent level, in my opinion, than where Colorado's at. That's not to dunk on Colorado. That's not to dunk on Coach Prime. That's not to dunk on what they've done to this point. But what we saw yesterday was a team in Oregon that, quite frankly, outmatched Colorado. Now, Colorado didn't have Travis Hunter. I don't know that that really would have mattered yesterday, to be honest with you, when it comes to the final score. Maybe it's a little bit more competitive in some areas, but even so, like the difference yesterday was the big human beings up front against the other big human beings up front for Colorado. Like that was the difference. Colorado had Shedeur Sanders sacked 7 times. The leading rusher had 31 yards. So what that tells me is Colorado yesterday was extremely one-dimensional. And again, going into this game, we kind of knew that might be the case. But they had been so exceptional in that one area in being able to throw the ball around the yard and be able to kind of set the pace of the football game with how many points they were going to score, that it hadn't really shown itself the way it did yesterday. Again, going back to Oregon, talent level higher than what we've seen against Colorado so far. And that was the difference. But again, going back to this overreaction culture, a lot of people are going to say, well, Deion's this, Deion's that, make definitive statements about him as a head coach, tell you Colorado was never really that good. Like the over-under win total for Colorado going into the season was 3.5 wins. Y'all, they're sitting at 3-1 right now. Okay, there is nothing fraudulent about Colorado. Going into this game, thought they had issues on the offensive line. Coming out of this game, they have issues on the offensive line. Going into this game, thought they would have problems stopping the run. Coming out of this game, yeah, problems stopping the run. And the reason why you saw Oregon have the day they did throwing the football as well was because when you are able to run the football effectively, we all know this, things open up in the pass game. And that was what happened yesterday for Oregon. And so there's going to be a lot of things said now about Coach Prime and about Colorado. But I'll say this, man. In that post-game press conference, listening to Deion Sanders and what he had to say, like, he handled that like a pro. I think everybody was waiting with bated breath. What would happen when Deion Sanders and Colorado finally lose a game? What's going to happen then? Is he going to go crazy in the press conference? Is he going to whine and complain? Like, there was none of that from him. He's like, we got our butt kicked. You know, it is what it is. This is the worst it's going to be, so get us while we're here. Get us while we're at this point in the game. No whining, no complaining, no talking about the refs. Or like he completely took responsibility for the game and for what happened. Like there's a lot of self-awareness here built into Colorado. And I think a lot of people kind of just assume that there's this bravado and there's just this talk about Colorado. Like, no, that they are exactly, in my opinion, after week 3, a version of what we kind of had assumed they would be going into this game. And Deion Sanders is like, yeah, we got to fix it. We got to have some things figured out here. The penalties are probably the things that you're most concerned about coming out of that game, outside of what you had from an on-the-field product in the trenches. But here's my real question. Here's the big question for me with Colorado. How do you respond now that the glamour and the excitement of being undefeated, of having College game day there, kind of goes to a new low? Like you experienced the highest of highs the last couple of weeks. Now you're going to experience the lowest of lows with a score like this and what you're going to have to hear from people with a microphone all week long talking about your football team. How do you respond? Because it's easy to, band together and to be together and to have a good culture when you're winning football games, when you're 3-0. Remember now, this is 80 new players, guys from the transfer portal. When you lose 42-6, that's a tremendous stress test for your culture. Do we start pointing fingers internally? Do we start saying, well, it's not my fault, I just transferred here? Do we start seeing some individuality? I'm not assuming that. I'm not guessing we're going to see that. That's my question for them. Because the stress test now doesn't stop here with Oregon. They got USC coming to Boulder, Colorado this coming Saturday. I'm excited to watch how they respond. I'm excited to see how they pick themselves up and go forward, how they adjust. It's no secret, man. The issue is the issue right now. The offensive and defensive line has to improve. Deion Sanders knew that last week during College Game Day or during the Pat McAfee show. He was talking about it. He's like, we got to get our big human beings here. And once we get them here, we're going to really be rolling. Right now, it does not seem like they have those big human beings. So for Colorado the rest of the way, I cannot wait to watch how they respond. I cannot wait to see how they revamp now going forward from this game and adjust. You learn a lot about your team when you get punched in the mouth. And Colorado, clear as day, got punched in the mouth. So how do they respond? We are about to find out. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JD Piquel. Hey, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all, man. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.